Whenever I'm travelling to or from a location, I always check to see if any towns or cities I am passing through have a CEX. And recently on the way to and from a family holiday, I managed to hit up 3 new stores here on the crazy world of CEX. Welcome to my continuing mission to visit every CEX store in the entire world. From the weird to the wonderful, the big to the small, I am here to visit them all. This is the crazy world of CEX. Hello again folks, and welcome back to the crazy world of CEX, my continuing adventure to try and visit every single CEX store in the entire world. And one way I'm making this possible is every time I travel somewhere, be it for business or pleasure, I will always see if there's any CEX stores in towns or cities along the way to my final destination. And recently I went on a holiday to Derbyshire with my family, which was absolutely fantastic. Of course, when I was there, I visited a lot of CEX stores, which you saw in the previous episode of this series. But this time we are visiting some of the stores which I visited there and on the way back from that amazing holiday. If you enjoyed this episode, please hit the like button and please subscribe, as I put new episodes out every Saturday live at 5, as well as bonus content throughout the week, and I really want you folks along for the ride. And if you ever miss a single episode of the crazy world of CEX, fear not, I'll list them all below in a playlist. Here we are then at our first CEX store this episode in Kettering. Now I stopped here on the way to my family holiday, and straight away the first place I always hit up whenever I visit any CEX store is the window to see what some of the awesome items are available in this store. And honestly, this one's a bit of a letdown, so let's hope there's something slightly more exciting inside. We're going to start off this time in the Xbox 360 section, because now is the best time to buy for the Xbox 360. Whether you've been collecting for years or you are new and just starting off collecting for the Xbox 360, these are the cheapest these prices are possibly ever going to be. They are not going to get any cheaper. The prices will only go up. So now is the time to buy for the Xbox 360. But it's also surprising how you can still get some cheap bangers for the OG Xbox. Yes, there's some expensive games. There's also still a lot of really cheap games, even if you're not a wrestling fan. But it's the weird games like Playboy the Mansion that are slowly increasing in price. Since its release, I would say PlayStation 5 games up until this point have been slightly more expensive than CEX than I'd expect, but the prices are definitely starting to fall, and you can pick up a pretty decent selection of games now for under £10. This is a game I've been waiting to pick up for a while, and for £8, yes, I probably will finally pick up D&D. Heading over to the glass cabinet of dreams, we have a lot of consoles. This one stands out to me, not just because it's bright pink, but I'm always surprised by the price of the pink PlayStation 2, but I'm also surprised that these fantastic N64s are definitely getting cheaper. In previous years, these have been really expensive, but it does seem like the price of these is coming down. But that's the thing with retro shopping in CEX. The prices fluctuate all the time, especially like Pokemon games. They go up and down. PlayStation 1 games are the cheapest they've probably been in the majority of cases for a long while at the moment. The thing is with CEX, it is like a stock market. You have to keep an eye on the prices and just work out when is best for you to buy. So I would say in the grand scheme of things, this is a fairly small CEX store. You can see here it is inside a shopping mall, and it does still have a fairly large selection of DVDs. But what it doesn't have is a very large selection of GameCube games. I think we have 3 games here. It is getting increasingly difficult to find GameCube games, and this is a game I would pick up sooner rather than later, as it is exclusive to the GameCube, and it's a little bit of a low-key banger, much like this game, which I do really regret not picking up for the Wii U, just because I kind of don't like the budget cover on this Wii U game. But let me know if they did one of these games that didn't have the Nintendo kind of select branding, as I really want this one for the collection. This is something small that really annoys me about CEX. Yes, I understand they've got a finite amount of space to like stock stuff on the shelves, but when they've got some boxed retro, I want to be looking at that. And spoiler alert, at the end of this video, I did pick up a boxed N64 banger I've been after for a while. Now, I don't think PlayStation VR was a success that Sony was expecting, but love it or hate it, I absolutely love it. And now is a fantastic time to pick up a lot of these PlayStation VR games, because like the Xbox 360 games at the moment, they are as cheap as they're going to get. I do regret not picking up this game, Time Carnage, just because the case was a little bit damaged. And I did pass on this one as well, which is a collection of VR games, but sometimes with these collections you get 1 or 2 that are a little bit rubbish, but This isn't the last PlayStation VR game you'll see in this video. As I said, it's a fantastic time to collect for this console, and the prices on VR games are only going to get more expensive in the next few months. And it's games like this, MR4, which I've never seen before. I think this is a VR motocross game. These games are like fairly cheap now, but I think in the future it's going to be a very niche console as such to collect for, and I think PlayStation VR games are only going to get more expensive, much like this kind of oddity here, World of Simulators. Never seen this game before, and £25. This one had a surprisingly high price tag. Don't know if it's because it's a compilation or if it's just rare, but if you do know why this game is so expensive, please let me know in the comments down below. Now, I did have a look for the Xbox One section here in this CEX store, and unfortunately, there was nothing really too exciting here, but that's the thing. You never know what you're going to find whenever you go into any CEX store, and this was something I wasn't expecting to pick up today. It combines three of my favourite things: 3D movies, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and a lenticular cover. So for £1.50, I had to pick this one up. Yes, it's an obscure, weird thing to collect, but I love 3D movies, and I was sorely missing this one from my collection. So that was the CEX branch here in Kettering. So we're on to our family holiday, but fear not, on the way home we'll be hitting up 2 brand new CEX stores. Here we are then at CEX here in Mansfield, and from the outside you wouldn't think this is anything out of the unexpected. It looks like a standard CEX store, and honestly, the window display is fairly unremarkable, but I was not prepared for what I found when I headed into this CEX store. As I said, this looks like any other CEX store, but this store is absolutely packed with some of the best retro I've ever seen. So straight away I saw these 2 limited edition Xbox 360 consoles. Now these are amazing and I love these, but this was just the tip of the iceberg. These glass cabinets of dreams are absolutely stacked with some of the best retro I've ever seen in CEX. Like, look at the PlayStation 1 selection. We have a game here, Digimon, that I was looking for my sister series, the PlayStation Platinum Project, for 11 months. And ironically, I found it 2 weeks before visiting this CEX store. That is a rare game, and there is some really rare and really expensive retro in this CEX. Now, from first look, I thought this was a £230 controller, but it is actually part of a console bundle, which I feel like they could have made slightly clearer on the display here. I generally thought I'd found the most expensive controller of all time. But like I said, the retro here was incredible. And look at the condition of these Mega Drive and Master System games, and even Mega CD games, and an Atari Lynx game in the box. There was just so much cool retro here. Like, I was really spoilt for choice, but this is the thing. For me personally, most of the retro that I would have picked up here, I already had in a collection. So honestly, I did pass on most of this retro, but you just love to see a retro selection this good in any CEX store. If you are local to Mansfield and this is your local CEX store, you are truly lucky to have such an incredible selection of retro right on your doorstep. I was blown away. This is quite possibly the best glass cabinet dreams I've ever seen. Can someone please explain to me why this great purple N64 is being sold at a discounted price of £145, while this console down here is being sold at the standard price? I presume it must be the controller or something that's got damaged, but for 20 quid less, that other great purple N64 looks great. Now, if you are looking for a copy of Observer System Redux for the PlayStation 5, head to Mansfield CEX as they have you covered. I could not believe how many copies they had of this game, and it was the collector's edition in the slipcase. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 copies of this game, including a standard copy without the slipcase. So if you need this game, head there. Following on with this craziness, we have another game here that I have multiple copies of for some reason, but this is a PlayStation VR game which I've been looking for a while, and this one is an absolute bargain. This is Mind Labyrinth VR Dreams, and it's just £5. So this looks really trippy, and it's a kind of game that's just cool to kind of chill out and play on the PlayStation VR. No idea why they have so many copies of this game, but for a £5, I'm grabbing it. Of course, every CEX store has a fairly substantial DVD section, but hiding at the back of the Mansfield DVD section, we have some more retro, including a pretty good selection of PSP games and honestly, a fairly substantial selection of PS Vita games. Honestly, anything over 5 or 6 Vita games now is a pleasant surprise. And there's some really good titles here, including a GameCube game which I've never seen before, King Arthur. And normally, if it's a game I've never seen before, I will pick it up. I don't think it's very obvious in the video, but this one was a little bit water damaged or something, so sadly I did leave it behind. I was pleasantly surprised by how much retro this CEX store had. Not just kind of cartridge and box retro, but also some of this amazing disc-based retro. This was a great CEX. This is a classic example of why shopping at CEX is like playing the stock market. Of course, at the moment, the frankly incredible Baldur's Gate 3 is out, and look what it's done to the price of this Baldur's Gate and Baldur's Gate 2 compilation for the Xbox One. The price has absolutely skyrocketed because, of course, more people want to experience more Baldur's Gate, and honestly, who can blame them? You would think we'd seen enough retro in the CEX branch, but fear not, there's even more behind the counter, as well as that console which we saw the controller of earlier in the glass cabinet of dreams. Our final stop on the way back to Norfolk was here in Newark, and again this was a really small CEX store, but this is the thing, you never know what to expect in the crazy world of CEX. The store may be small, but it's all about the stock that's inside the store, so let's hope we find something cool this time. Straight away heading to the glass cabinet of dreams, there's some stuff I've never seen before, like this RoboCop game and the Commodore arcade stick, some really cool boxed N64 stuff, the elusive Game Boy player for the Game Boy Advance with the disc, and some really nice handhelds here. It was quite a small selection, but a good selection. Another store and another PlayStation VR game and another collection this time. So this is the Ultimate VR collection, which is quite a statement, but this one looks pretty cool, and at £6 for just 5 games, yeah, I think I'll pick this one up. Even if 2 or 3 of these games are good, that only works out as just over £1 a game. This is a game which I absolutely love, but it is to this day the only VR game which has ever given me motion sickness. That one game, Doom VR. CEX in Newark had a really good Xbox 360 section, including this game, the amazing Spider-Man. I'm sure when Spider-Man No Way Home came out, this game absolutely jumped in price, but now it's down to a tenner. It could be a great time to pick this one up. And here is another real hidden gem and a real weird game for the Xbox 360, Kettering. This game is £15 at the moment, but this is a game which I feel could go up in price, so it might be worth grabbing it now, much like this Castlevania game. These are the kind of games which I think for the Xbox 360 will get more expensive in years to come, and like I've said multiple times, even in this episode, now is the time to buy for the 360. Here we have another game which I've been after for the Xbox 360 for absolutely ages, but unfortunately it did have a cover reprinted, so I did leave it behind. But this is a game which is getting harder and harder to get, and one I definitely want for my collection, as I absolutely love the Serious Sam collection. But unfortunately not all HD collections are built the same, such as the Silent Hill HD collection, which unfortunately is worth a miss. Moving on to the Xbox One section, when I first saw this game, Guitar Hero Live for 38 quid, I thought this must be a mistake, but of course it does come with a plastic guitar, which is required to play this game. But I remember just after this game came out, it tanked, and they were selling these games for super cheap. And generally, I'm surprised that in 2023, it's this expensive. Much like the Xbox 360, a lot of PlayStation 3 prices are super cheap at the moment. Games such as this, God of War Ascension, are only going to get more expensive in the future because, kind of as an unwritten rule, exclusive games get more expensive, and you can already see that slowly happening with games like this, the God of War collection. These are must-haves for the PS3. Here's another classic example of the CEX stock market here. The price of Cyberpunk 2077 is back up to £28. That is of course because the new expansion has recently dropped for this game and more people are playing it, which is nothing but a good thing, as a lot of people hate it, but I absolutely love Cyberpunk 2077 and are happy to see more people play it. Could this be a CEX hack? You could buy the Meg 2 The Trench for £12. At the time of recording this, you could trade it back in for £8. So essentially, you could watch this film for £4, which at the time of recording, they were selling on Amazon for £10. There we have it then, folks. That was 3 brand new CEX stores crossed off the list here on the crazy world of CEX. But as is tradition on the crazy world of CX, we've got one more stop before we head back to the games room, heading to my local CX store here in the fine city of Norwich. And I have one very specific PlayStation VR game which they have in stock. Here we are then, good old Norwich CEX, and I'm heading straight to the PlayStation 4 section in search of this PlayStation VR game which not a lot of people know about. Now, when you search for PlayStation VR on the CEX app, this game does not come up, and it is hiding here somewhere around the T section. Now, I don't know what it is, but for some bizarre reason I couldn't find this game for very long, and you can see I'm starting to panic here. I'm wondering, is it actually in stock? I'm really hoping it is, as this is one I don't see very often and one I've been very excited to play. This one was actually released through limited run, but it did get a full retail release, and honestly, this is one of the craziest, strangest, best PlayStation VR experiences. This game is, of course, hiding here behind Terminator, the Tetris effect. This is a trippy, awesome PlayStation VR game and a great one to add to the collection. With this final VR game, let's take it back to the games room for those pickups here on the crazy world of CX. Here we are then, back in the games room from another crazy road trip on the crazy world of CX. And we're going to jump straight into the pickups. So the first game I picked up from Kettering is a PlayStation 5 game which is finally under £10. And there's actually a decent number of games for the PlayStation 5 now that are under £10. And this is a game I've held off buying for a little while. This is Dungeons & Dragons Dark Alliance. Now, I first played this just when it came out on Xbox Games Pass, and it was a little bit glitchy, a little bit buggy, and it did kind of ruin the game. But I think we are quite away from the release now, and hopefully now this game's been patched and is a really good game, because I've been playing a lot, and I mean a lot, every waking hour of Baldur's Gate 3 recently, and I just need more D&D in my life. Next up, we have a little bit of an oddity. It's this Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3D Blu-ray. Now, I know 3D didn't really kick off as much as the industry hoped it would, but I am a big fan of 3D movies, and when I can pick up not one of my favourite films of all time, but any Turtles film which is 3D and has a lenticular cover for £2, I'm going to grab it. Next up, we have an absolute bona fide retro bargain. And this is one thing I love about CEX. Sometimes you can get retro gold at the unboxed price. Now, sometimes this makes sense if the box is practically destroyed, missing manuals, inserts, bits like this. But sometimes you get a banger like this one. So, this game was £6. I hope you can see that. £6 for a boxed N64 game. Now, what do you expect the condition of this game is going to be like? Here we have a boxed and complete copy of WCW versus NWO World Tour for the N64, and this is the final boxed N64 wrestling game that I needed for my collection. And why is this the unboxed price? I'll tell you why. They said to me in the store it's because it has some tape down this side, but for £6 for a boxed N64 game in this amazing condition is crazy, and one of the many reasons I love the crazy world of CX. Just the one pickup from Mansfield CEX, even though it had one of the best retro selections I've seen in any CEX store. And also, spoiler alert, in an upcoming episode of Steelbook hunting in CEX, it was absolutely packed with Steelbooks, so stay tuned for that one. So our one pickup is Mind Labyrinth VR Dreams for the PlayStation VR. As I've said, I am trying to go for a full PlayStation VR collection, and with games for a £5, it's no better time to do it. Carrying on the PlayStation VR theme, our final pickup from Newark is this game, the Ultimate VR Collection. It's a collection of 5 of the best VR games. I have not heard of any of these, but at just over £1 a game, I definitely wanted to add this one to the collection. Finally this time, as we always do on the crazy world of CX, we finished our hunt here in my local CX in Norwich, and I picked up yet another PlayStation VR game, and this one is a weird one because it isn't listed as a PlayStation VR game, even though it does say it directly across the top there. It is Tetris Effect for the PlayStation VR. And you may be thinking, Dan, how many times have you played Tetris? It's been out for nearly 40 years now. It was one of the very first games I ever played, and hand on heart, I can say this is the best way to play Tetris. Even if you do not play this in PlayStation VR, this version of Tetris will blow your mind. It's absolutely incredible and definitely needed in anyone's game collection. But that's not all. From Norwich, when I went up to the counter to pay for my games, I saw hiding on the shelf behind a steelbook which I've been looking for a long while. It is the steelbook of Mad Max for the PlayStation 4, and this is the Ripper edition. It says £8 on here, but this was actually £6 because remember, when you hunt for steelbooks in CEX, you usually pay the same price for the steelbook as you would the standard version of the game. And this game is absolutely incredible, and this steelbook is absolutely incredible. It is embossed with the magnum opus, and this is honestly one of the best steelbooks I've seen in a very long time. And honestly, if you have not played this Mad Max game, sort it out, go buy yourself a copy. It's like £6 and it is amazing. There we have it then, folks. That is another episode of the crazy world of CEX in the bag, and 3 brand new stores crossed off the list of the frankly hundreds that I still need to visit around the world. But if you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and who knows, maybe next time I'll be visiting your local CEX here on the crazy world of CEX. See you all soon!